level of understanding and thinking. As you remember that earlier, I have said that research is related to thinking. Okay, and you are lucky you have decided to move on to postgraduate studies, because postgraduate studies is related to more thinking than memorizing and applying. Actually, you are upgrading yourself. Okay, so critical literature review is related to thinking, not just copy from other work. We are doing critical review, which is required thinking and understanding. Okay, so those who are in education, they are very familiar with this, what we call it Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so the lowest Bloom, we call it knowledge. Okay, knowledge and comprehension. Okay, this is where you get in your undergraduate. Okay, and also application. To the level of application, you learn what is in the textbook, and you go to the laboratory, apply the theories that you learn in the classroom. And also when you are working as engineers, okay, you apply the theories that you learn while you are studying engineering, okay, in your professions. Yeah, sometimes you do analysis, but maybe not as heavy as those who are going for postgraduate. Okay, a higher level is, we call it synthesis and evaluation. Okay, evaluation is where you are able to evaluate your own work, okay, how good you are compared to others. Okay, synthesize is where you are creating a new solution, okay, for a complex problem. Okay, you synthesize, you are combining. Analysis is where you break up big problem into small pieces. Okay, so you can see now, knowledge, comprehension, and application, these are basically undergraduate. Okay, let me show this first. Okay, this diagram is, you can say that people can dispute this diagram, but anyway, I want to just explain to you. If you see a PhD, master, and bachelor. Bachelor is more on knowledge. Yeah, undergraduate, more knowledge, comprehension, and application. Maybe a small aspect of analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. But when you go to masters, you see more crosses here, meaning that heavier. You still have to have knowledge. You still have to have comprehension and application. Here is 2 crosses, but here is more cross, meaning that you have to go beyond undergraduate. You cannot have only undergraduate knowledge, but you have to have advanced knowledge in your masters. Okay, if you are learning the same thing that you learn in undergraduate, meaning that, okay, no new additional knowledge of advanced level there. Okay, and also you need to learn analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, which is higher level in what we call it Bloom's. Bloom is well known. Bloom, this we call Bloom's taxonomy. You can easily Google what is Bloom. You can find a lot of diagram, nice colors, and so on. So this is where we try to gauge or locate the level of thinking and understanding, and a level, what's our cognitive activities in our mind. If you go to PhD, you need to have more analysis, more synthesis, and more evaluation. Of course, your knowledge has to be more than master, your comprehension has to be more, your application has to be more. Okay, now you are the highest qualification that your university can award is PhD. Okay, where you are very critical person, you are able to synthesize, and you are able to analyze the situation. So the way you think, the way that you look at things will be different compared to those only with bachelor degrees, because bachelor have a limited, perhaps the thinking is not as critical as those who have gone through masters and PhD. Okay, so I hope you understand that why we are emphasizing the need of analysis, the need of critical thinking. Okay, so let me just review this. Okay, in Malaysia we have this agency. We call it Agensi Kelayakan Malaysia, Malaysian Qualification Agency. Okay, this is a body that is monitoring the quality of education in Malaysia. Okay, so if we deviate or we are not satisfying the standards set by this MQA, Malaysian Qualification Agency, okay, the degrees is not recognized. Okay, you can go to this MQA website to check. Okay, I put it www.mqa.co.my. CODMA, you can check which qualification offered by universities in Malaysia are recognized. Okay, if it's not listed there, okay, meaning that it's not recognized by the government and they cannot be employed, okay, under the public service in Malaysia. So other countries also referring to this. Okay, employment agencies also looking at this list, okay, because whatever has been approved by MQA is we ensure minimum standard has been satisfied. Okay, so in this, the document is mentioned in what is engineering. Engineering, you have to be creative, okay, applying knowledge, science and mathematics, and you also involved in design, product, process, and system. So design not only for product, but also involve process or system. Those in engineering, you are designing systems. Those in pure mechanical engineering, you are designing product or maybe processes. Those in manufacturing, okay, those in aeronautic, you are maybe designing products, okay, components, and so on. So what is the role of engineers? The role of engineers is to seek solutions to the problem. Okay? Problem in terms of transportation, problem of environmental problem of to have fuel efficiency, problem to make human moving faster from one location to another location where you come up with the design of aircraft, problem of human to for security purposes. So those are problems where engineer come in and provide solution. Okay, in the past, people do not have aeroplane, people do not have bridges, people do not have internet. So engineers have a lot of contribution in improving the life of human being. Okay, so engineers provide engineering product, process, and system. Okay, so a lot of issues, a lot of problems that need to be investigated and solved by engineers. Okay, so we see that for bachelor degree, okay, is broad based. Okay, remember in literature review, I said that broad review actually is undergraduate materials from textbook. Okay, so bachelor degree basically broad-based education background. Okay, and when you go to postgraduate, you are more focused and more specialized. If you are in medical profession, actually your master, you become a specialist already. Okay, in medical profession, there are doctors, they go for master's degree, they become specialists and become consultant. Okay, so highly regarded profession with what we call master's degree. Okay. So broad-based education and skill which equip them with ability to design, provide a solution, and multifaceted engineering problem. Okay, so basically you see here, ability to design, this is applied, application level. Remember understanding, knowledge, and applying. Okay, so providing solution to complex. Of course, that requires some innovation, but not as much as the master's level. This is what Malaysian Qualification Agency defined what is masters. Master provide further of knowledge, meaning the advanced knowledge, skill, okay, beyond the bachelor degree. Okay, a master degree conferred on students who are able to demonstrate continuing additional knowledge. Okay, use knowledge and comprehension to solve. So this is still like application level. Integrate knowledge and manage complex matters. Okay, this requires advanced knowledge for integrating knowledge and to manage complex problems which require critical thinking, analysis, case synthesis, skill. Okay, and now you see evaluate and make decision. Okay, you have to evaluate the situation. So you are learning this skill when you are doing research methodology. You evaluate the literatures. You compare the work of others. Okay, that is where we try to what do you call it? We want you to learn this, how to compare, how to evaluate different publication, different research work. This is where you evaluate and you compare. Okay, evaluate and make decision. Deliver clear conclusion. This is where you interpret your own results later on, and then you try to make conclusion. What is the meaning of this data? Try to make sense of the results of the investigation. And from there, hopefully the new understanding and new knowledge will be available. Of course, at master level, we don't expect a very big new innovation. We just expecting some indication of new area of application or new methodology to solve some elements of what do you call it, being different than others. Okay, demonstrate study skill to continuously progress. Okay, so one aspect of postgraduate study is ability to continuously learning, because learning is never stop for progressing in businesses, in industries and so on. If you see some products, like I mentioned last class for previously, that like a company in smartphone, for example, Apple keep introducing new models. Okay, I think now they are what, Apple 12 or something like that. Keep introducing because they have research. With research, they are progressing, then they are ahead of competitors. Okay, I have shown this. Okay, this is what I would like you to do for the next 1 week. You can do it individually, in pair of 2 or individually, it's up to you. You can pick your friend and discuss. Maybe you think that you have lost many things from this lecture. You want somebody to assist you. You can find a friend that can assist you. You can do it as your own. You think that it's difficult to communicate with others, you just do it yourself. Okay, but I allow you to do in pair of 2. Select a journal paper in your chosen area. So if you want to choose your friend, okay, for this assignment only, the friend, but later on another assignment you can choose another friend. It's up to you. So it's not going to be for this purpose of a class assignment. You can choose your friend, that whoever that you think that you can work together. Select a journal paper in your chosen area. Read the paper and answer the following question in the table format. Okay, I always put in table format. Why? It's easier to see the information. So you can have in the table, on the left is the title of what you are discussing, and the right is the detail of it. So when you take one paper, identify what are the broad area of knowledge and specific research discussed in that paper. So now you read a paper with a purpose of finding information in that paper. And then you move on, describe the problem situation that is presented in that paper. Okay, identify research gap. Okay, now you are learning what others have done before you can come up with your own research gap. So just read a paper and identify where is research gap in this paper. And then identify what was the research problem, statement of problem. In some paper is very clear, statement is clearly stated. If it's not clearly stated, you have to read carefully what is that sentence, does it mean for declaring the problem that the authors have focused in their study. And then you have to see what are the research objective, what are the research question and hypothesis. Okay, sometimes researchers do not declare the hypothesis or research question, but no problem. In your assignment, you just say that there is no questions and no hypothesis declared in the paper. But some research, especially engineering, they put it research objective. Okay, that is sufficient if research objective is there. But for some research, even they go further, more detailed, explaining the objective in terms of research question. And also, what are the scope and what are the assumption, okay, for that paper that you have chosen. And then you move on to see where is the background theory explained in that paper. Okay, normally in a paper there is introduction and then they go to literature review. Some papers do not have literature review. They combine introduction and literature together, okay, depending on the style of writing. And then you move on, what are the techniques used to solve the problem in that paper. Okay, so normally they will have a review on possible techniques, and finally they will say that this technique is adapted in this research. Okay, so you read and carefully see where is the statement related to techniques. And then if the research is related to experimental or simulation, they will declare what is the variables and parameters investigated. And also in the methodology, especially, it will explain the methodology of data collection. Okay, the samples, how the sampling was done. In the results, okay, in the result you can see how statistical method was used. Okay, don't worry so much if you do not understand in detail, okay, related to the paper. But what I'm trying to request here is for you to be familiar when reading a paper. What are the information in the paper that you should look for? Okay, if you don't understand there are heavy mathematical there, you have not learned the subject, or you are still learning about it, don't worry if you don't understand the detail of that investigation or the formula included in the paper. But you need to understand these categories of information. Where is broad information? Okay, where is specific information? Okay, based on that writing, you will know. Okay, this part of the paper is broad. This part of the paper is reviewing of the previous work. Okay, normally the specific research is they will put the names of authors. Okay, who did what and when. Okay, I move to here, statistical method. Okay, you can see that there are some statistical method being used to analyze the data. Maybe you have not heard the techniques. No problem if you're not familiar now. It will be a problem later when you do your own research. But for now, you just say that this researcher has used, for example, t-test, or they use chi-square test, or they use it Fisher statistics, and they use okay, ANOVA analysis, for example, you know. So if there is no statistical method used, you just say that this paper did not report any statistical method used. Okay. So how the result were compared and validated, and most paper will compare the result of their study and the result of other researcher. Okay. So I highly recommend you go and find a paper which is ISI index paper, or at least Scopus journal paper. Don't go on conference paper. Conference paper is not rigorously what you call it, evaluated. Okay, but conference journal papers, ISI papers, they are rigorously reviewed by others, and the validity is reliable in terms of what is written in that paper. Okay, so the researcher also will discuss how they validated, validate the results, because whatever result you get, some form of validation is expected. Okay, depend on area. You are validating perhaps by using standard data. Okay, you are maybe validating by using established method. You are suggesting a new method. Now you validate your result is using the other method, and you make comparison. Okay, or you can validate with using sensitivity analysis by changing the values. Okay, whether your method is still robust and consistent, the results or not. Okay, and then you will declare the key findings and you make conclusion. And of course, at the end of the paper, there will be suggestion for further work. This is one of the place that giving you the hint what you should do for your own research, if you want to contribute something new, because the previous researcher has suggested further work. Okay, so I think the best way for you to learn how to do research is to find the area that you are interested, find a paper that is relevant to that area of your interest, and start learning how others have done. Okay, how others have done. Because if you start your own without having a reference to what others have done, okay, there will be a lot of confusion to you, and there will be a lot of uncertainty to you. Okay, so the best way is find the closest one, and from there you just add. Later on for your own research, you just extend that work and get a new perspective of the research aspect. Any question before I move on?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Can I ask you about gap?
All right. Okay.
My understanding for gap is, for example, some paper talking about analysis in 2 dimensions.
Okay.
So the gap is in the 3 dimensions can be classified as a gap.
Okay. let's say you have reviewed several papers, right? You have reviewed some papers, and most of the previous work discuss about 2 dimension,
Yes.
and maybe 1 or 2 paper discuss about 3 dimension, isn't it?
No,
Or-
there's no one talking about 3 dimension, only 2 dimension.
Okay,
So
yes.
I can
Yeah.
consider 3 dimension as a gap?
Yes. You can say that previous work only focus on 2 dimension, since this area of study involve, more parameters. So
Yes.
new research should focus also on 3 dimension. So it could be challenging for the beginning unless you have done it 2 dimension, unless you are
Okay.
familiar. Okay, you may start with 2 dimension, but maybe you just extend a little bit toward that 3 dimension also can. Because if you start jumping directly to 3 dimension, you may not be able to know where to start, Because
Yes, but
yeah.
I can consider 3 dimension as a gap in these papers.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You can consider as a gap, and at the same time, you need to check whether that gap is possible or not for you to do it.
Oh, okay.
You can mention in the literature review that the gap is lack of or no researcher that you have found investigated on 3 dimension.
Yes.
Okay, so you can argue that when you go to your problem methodology, you can say that you are going to extend from 2D to 3D. Okay,
Okay.
but in your literature review, yes, you can do that as a gap. And then when you're actually doing, my suggestion is you start with 2D first, because those are well established and others have done. Once
Yes.
you are familiar with 2D, you extend the work to become 3D.
Became 3. Another question, my teacher.
Okay,
For,
yes.
for this quiz, is it test 1 or just a quiz? Because I mistakenly choose false and try in second question rather than true.
Okay, don't worry so much on that quiz. Actually, my intention was for you to get familiar with the one is online quiz. Okay, and even if you see the question is very obvious, very simple.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's simple,
So
but I actually choose that. I meant first one, true. I meant true, not
Okay.
false.
Okay, no problem with that, because it's not going to affect so much on your grading, because we're going to have the big exam, test 1. But this is not test 1. This is just a quiz to check your understanding and your readiness. Because as we noticed that some people are just joining and they're still missing many things. So this is just like a checkpoint, Okay, because the process is very important. When you get the process, you get good process, will get good output. Okay, any more question? On the same day, Thursday, we have arranged with UTM library, okay, for you to listen to the briefing by librarian, how to use UTM library to search for materials. Okay, so be reminder that everybody are expected to join the WebEx session. I will give you the address, okay, that to be given by UTM library. This is specially requested session for students who are taking research methodology masters. Okay, don't miss it, because we have librarian to give you a briefing how to find materials from UTM library, online material to search, using Scopus, using Web of Knowledge, more detail. I have explained earlier briefly, but now we get the person who is knowing every details about UTM library. That will be next week, 19th of November. The time is same time as the class time, lecture time. Yeah, you understand what I say?
That would be very
So
good.
next Saturday, same time, right?
Yeah, same time. You
Yeah.
just log on to online and following the class. but the lecture will be given by library, UTM.
Okay.
Okay, that will be useful very much for you to find the materials, papers, and so on. Okay,
Okay.
because
Okay.
there are other features that will be assisting you more easier to find papers online. Okay, okay, do you understand what I say on this slide now? Okay, this is expected to be done in 1 week. This one.
Inshallah.
I will open a submission in e-learning for you to submit this. Okay, you can do it individually or you can do it in pair of two. Okay, why in pair of two? For you to discuss each other. Okay, to learn more if you miss out some of the information, especially those who are new. Maybe you need to get somebody to be your partner. Okay, for those who are very clear, you think that you can work on your own, you can proceed by yourself. Okay, so these are some of the questions that normally asked, okay, when you are reading the papers. Okay, what are broad area of knowledge? Okay, the question is what? Describe the problem situation, identify. This also what? Okay, the question is what? Identify what was the research problem. It's also what question? What? Okay, what? What are research objective? Identify the background, also what? And when you go to how the research was designed, and then this is more challenging question, how the research was designed, okay, based on the previous work. Okay, so you can, these are a way that people are, when you read a paper, try to have questions so that you can have directed answer and more focused reading. Because if you read a paper, 10 pages, journal papers, I think halfway you're reading, okay, perhaps 70% you did not understand, you go to sleep with a paper. Is it happening or not?
Yes, it happens. It's true.
Okay, Khalid, I see you smile. You have experience sleeping with the journal paper?
This is the first time I tried to read the paper. It's quite boring.
And then you went to sleep after that.
Yeah, of course, because we don't know how what we need from the paper.
I
This
see.
is I think it will be clear in the next lecture.
Okay, okay. Don't worry if you go to sleep with the paper now, but you will worry about it if after half semester you're still sleeping with the paper.
No.
Okay. So when you read a paper, try to see this question. What are the techniques? Okay, so you go very focused. You finding where in the paper is talking about the techniques. Okay, what was investigated? Okay, what are the variables and parameter? Okay, try to ask this question. So you can easily go directly to the place where they are talking about the results. Okay, there are parameters, there are variables, and even in the part of methodology, some paper are already explained what are the variables and parameter to be investigated. Okay, what data were collected? Some research, they use database which is already compiled by others. But some research, they collect new data. Okay, you have to identify that. Is it the new data being collected or they use data that has been produced by previous researcher? And also look at the sampling. Okay, how many samples they have taken? Okay, is it sampling is random or is it sampling is based on certain procedures? Some research they follow standards. Okay, is there any ISO standard being used? For example, in testing, you might have ISO standard for data collection. I think you might also have some standard in your aviation or aeronautics area. You need to look into it. Okay, whether a standard is a compulsory procedures for doing certain specialized testing. Okay, how the data were analyzed, again, I already explained earlier. You look into it, what statistical techniques they have used. They might be using ANOVA techniques, they might be using F-test techniques, they might be using, there are many statistical techniques, like regression, correlation, and so on. How the result were compared and validated, same thing that I have mentioned earlier. What are the key findings? What were the conclusion? So when you read with this in mind, you are more focused in reading. Okay, the part that you do not understand, don't worry for now, but you just need to find what are the aspects, yeah, of that paper. Okay, when you are really found the area of your interest, and then you will enjoy reading the paper. Okay, I think we are almost time. Okay, let me just one or two more slides. So this is type of question: what, when, who, how, why. These are the things that you have to ask yourself. Who, meaning that, you know, who are the researchers and when he did that research. Is it still current or is it already obsolete? And also you need to know why he did the research. What is the justification for him doing this research? Yeah, this is basically reasoning. Okay, one thing that I need to remind you that in master's level and postgraduate level, when you say something, when you arguing something, you need to have evidence. Okay, based on evidence, based on facts. I think you are being following this U.S. election. So Mr. Trump is saying that the vote was stolen, there are fraud here and there. People were asking, where is the evidence? Okay, there is evidence. Okay, this is same thing that we are doing here. We need to see evidence. If we accuse that there are fraud and cheating in the election, so he need to prove where are the evidence there are cheating. Okay, same thing also when you are claiming something in your research findings, you need to provide a proof. What is the proof that you say that this method is better than the other method? Okay, what is the proof? What evidence that you have? Okay, so whatever statement that you make, you need to justify and support with evidence. Okay. Okay, I think I've done that. Okay, again, as summary, our postgraduate is basically focused on how it is related, how it happened, why, justification, and evaluation, which is higher bloom of.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, doctor, I have a question.
Yes.
If I make a new paper in a new area, in my area, in my specialized, in my field.
Yeah.
If I make a new paper in a new area, if you understand me, if you new field, okay, how can I make a validation for this paper?
Okay, no problem. When you are having a new one, you can compare how you are different than others. What new things that you have claimed. And this is, I know what you are trying to say now is how you can compare apple and orange, right? Apple is different, orange is different, isn't it?
Yes.
So you still can compare, just emphasize more on the differences. Okay.
So I focus only on the differences between my paper and other papers.
Yes, you need to make that comparison. You can say that you focus on this scope, the previous paper did not focus this. You have found this, that new paper, nobody has reported on this. Something like that. More on not comparing green apple and red apple because you especially in the area that it is new. Maybe it's quite challenging to make a one-to-one comparison, but still need to compare because you want to say that yourself you want to position yourself in a broader aspect of knowledge where you belongs to. Okay, so you need yes.
If I want to validation about the results.
Okay, result validation, you may need to use, for example, if you claim that method A is your method is good, okay?
Yes.
Somehow try to make some effort to use perhaps different data. Or you can make sensitivity analysis of your own data, meaning that you put some variability in your data to see how robust is your models. Still, you are comparing within your own works. Sensitivity analysis, because if you report only one result, it could be misleading. But if you say that extensively evaluated and sensitivity analysis has been done, you get consistent results. So it is sound logical, it can be accepted.
Okay, thank you very much, doctor.
All right, so I think we are time now. Maybe some of you may have class. Okay, you can exit now. Thank you very much. For those who have any question for the classification, you can stay online for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, for others, you can exit. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
About graduate seminar. Today only one video or 5 video?
5 videos, so far only one. I will open more submission because I will explain the requirement as we move along. So during the semester, you need to attend 5. But okay, as we move on, I will identify what are to focus when you are listening to that recorded video. Okay, we do not want people just coming out with listen without paying specific attention to what need to look for when lecture. You got what I mean? We move as we are progressing.
Doctor?
Yeah.
About the work that you gave us just now, can I know the exact date?
Repeat again.
Can I know the exact due date for the work that you just gave us?
1 week. 1 week, which is next Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Open submission button in e-learning. Okay. Any more question? Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, I assume there is no question. I will exit now. Okay.